All right. This is going to be part 2 of the Craftsman build. This is going to be how you tighten the steering up on one of these Craftsmans. Specifically ones with the 2nd gen. Can't really see it. 2nd gen steering box. One of the fan boxes instead of one of the 90-degree ones. Show you how to make the front axle knot. Do that. Rock forwards and backwards in the frame. Give it more strength. How to get rid of this. Alright, so I got it set on a cinder block. I wouldn't recommend doing it this way. Kind of rickety. But in this case, I don't have any jack stands. This is the only way I can do it. Please try and use something better than a cinder block. So here's the issue, right? Look at all that rock, front to back. Can't really see it that good. There we go. That's the entire axle doing this, not up and down, front to back. That causes it, when you go to steer, instead of just spinning the spindle, it pushes the entire front axle like this, causing more play. So you want to drop the entire front axle out. Now, here we have a 5/8 pivot bolt to replace the stock one. In the middle here, you have a carriage head 3/8, and in the front axle, there's a little bushing. I have one on the floor over here somewhere, like this. You push this out, and in the hole that is remaining, because there's 2 bushings. You have the hole in the front axle, a plastic bushing, and metal bushing. If you take the metal bushing out and leave the plastic one, fits a 5/8 bolt. This is 5/8 by 2.5. All right, got the front end out. Need a 9/16 for the nut on your steering rod, 1/2 inch for the top of the ball joint here. This one actually feels good. Didn't really have much play in it, so that's good. If those get bad, you just have to cut the ends off and weld bolts onto them and put Heim joints, because these are non-replaceable, sadly. 9/16 for the 4 bolts, these ones. And same for this one. Now, these like to get rusted and not want to come out. You also have to take these out, and they're all carriage heads. So now the fun part is seeing this impact that is really weak, not even touch it. Here you can see that bushing I was talking about, which you might have to hammer out. And there's what it looks like. Here's your 5/8 bolt. And now that you just got that plastic piece, that goes in there. Now I gotta find the step bit, drill these plates out, and bolt it back up. All right, so I went through and drilled them out. Just use a little step bit. You can see. Fits. So now you just put the entire axle assembly back together like it will be stock, and tighten it up. This piece that your deck mounts to limits how tight these plates can squeeze against the axle. So if you leave that out and tighten this bolt, it will actually clamp it harder. And if you really want, you could put those back in and bend it in more. I don't think that's necessary. So take that plate out and put this nice big bolt. Make a big difference on your steering setup. All right, it's just about in. Have all 4 of these bolts tightened up. You can see it has a bunch of rock. This is still loose. Just need to tighten that. Clamp the plates together. Another thing, you can just pull the spindles out completely. Take all these washers out, put them on the top. So when it has weight on it, it gives you, about 1/8 of an inch lower in the front. Or if you're doing it for off-road, take and put just an E-clip on top. Or if you want the dust cover, a washer and an E-clip. All the washers are underneath, and then you can actually just bolt with these 2 bolts on the lower part, and that'll give you about an inch lift, 1.5 inches. I wouldn't completely recommend that, because obviously you're only running 4 not 8 bolts, but it'll work just the same. All right, got it tightened. As you can see, right, you cannot pivot it, but with the weight of it on there, it will pivot with the weight of a whole mower driving around, right? And I was able to get the 1-inch socket to work, so I didn't need to use 2 adjustable wrenches. Look at this. If it's not going up and down, that means it ain't going front to back. It's way more sturdy. You can grab the grease fitting and, I mean, it wiggles a little bit, but before it was like loose, just now it's really nice and tight. Looks good in there. Now that your front end itself has been tightened up, that's not going to completely remove all your play, because obviously you've got a big steering box down underneath. You've got a steering wheel, which, look at that, it's loose on the shaft. You can go through and fix all those things. I found out how to do that. I guess I'll pull the steering wheel and show how to tighten the wheel itself up first. All right, so I got the cap off, and there's a couple different kinds of steering setups. This is the one with the nut. This is the same as Big Red. Some of the different styles have a either 5/16 or 3/8 bolt running through here. Fly on me. Depends on, which year you get. Older ones have a bolt, newer ones have a threaded end on the shaft. Here we got it off. And it might look like there's nothing in here we can change, but look real close when I wiggle this. Look at that. There's play between that bolt and this steering shaft here. That might seem like it's not really possible to remove, but what I found works is you take that fine thread bolt out and replace it with a coarse thread bolt the same length, and then tighten it down as tight as you can get. By doing that, the coarse thread, due to it being a coarse thread, not fine, it ends up being slightly larger in diameter, just enough to take the play out. And if it's a 1-inch bolt with threads all the way down, when you tighten it, it actually crimps this piece of metal to the shaft. So you're not going to lose, you're going to lose this. And that right there might not seem like much, but when your wheel's all the way out here, that tiny amount turns into like that. You know what I'm saying? This one bolt make a huge difference. All right, I got the bolt out. You see here, I think you can actually see like visibly how the 1/4 inch, 1/4 20 versus 1/4 28. This one's larger. Boom. 1-inch bolt. It's perfect. Just enough threads are sticking out to get yourself a lock nut on there. All right. Look at that. Zero play. It's all going straight to the shaft. Here's the steering box. Now, let me zoom in on something. Get it flat and zoom in. Look at the distance there between that bolt head and the gear. Look at that big old gap. That bolt, you could shove a washer in there, right? And see, I'm actually steering the shaft right now. I don't know how much you can see that. Yeah, look at that. That gear has a bit of a wiggle before it actually meshes. And look at the end of the actual big steering gear there. It's tapered down. If you put a washer or two on that and then tighten it as tight as you can, it actually pushes the big fan gear into the steering shaft gear. Takes that little bit of play right there out. Here we go. The shank there that you need to slide the washers up to is about 1/2 inch. I have a really thin washer and this nice thick one. I went through and actually, while this was still stock and tight, found a couple washers that were just a tiny little bit like thicker than the gap that was already there. Just a little bit. And it ended up being this nice big thick one and that skinny one. Now the only thing that you might not like is the steering is like hard to steer. When you grab the steering wheel and try and rotate it, it's gonna be really stiff because it has a bunch of pressure right there. So you might want to put some oil on that or some grease on that to help smooth it out. The good thing with that is if you're going really fast, in this case I'm going to do around 50 probably on this thing. When you steer, you don't want it to dart to the other side of the road. With the way this is, it actually locks the steering where it goes. Like you turn the wheel a little bit and it holds it right where you set it. So you can look at it in a good way or a bad way. In my opinion, it helps. All right, it's tight, and if you look now, I'm trying to rotate the shaft right now. No play at all. None. That right there took all the play out. Now at the same time, as you can see now, very stiff. So that's the only real downside. You can see now how stiff that is. Like you can't just, you have to really yank it. Now it will, wear in, like lap itself in, clean itself up, and it will get a little easier after a while. These little plastic bushings have a little bit of play in them. See that? You can get bronze bushings and replace these, though the little bit of play can also just be a good thing. Say the alignment's not perfect and one wheel is a little kicked forwards. That little bit of play can self-align it so it doesn't make your tires go bald. Something to think about. That's really personal preference between these. I did on Big Red, and it did make the steering smoother. But I don't think it's too big of a deal to worry about. These ball joints can wear out and get play in them. Cut the ends off, weld bolts, and put heim joints and adjust them until it's where you want it. Tighten them up, and you're not going to have any play between the steering box and the front end for the drag link. You can also do that on the steering rod and have adjustable tie rod ends. Now, if you remember before, you could wiggle it like this much. And I'll put a clip of that in here real quick. You can see there. Look now. It's only got about that much play. And actually, if you look, it has zero play to that one, but that little bit of play in the bushings. And yeah, it's hard to steer. I've not put anything on there. I'm going to put some penetrating oil on the gearbox. And here's another mower that is bone stock, and it's not getting any upgrades. It mostly are, but you can kind of see. You can't really see the wheel moving in it because it's not, but it's got a lot. Doesn't really matter because that one's just a hydro to mow the yard with. This one going 50 miles an hour. Being able to turn the wheels and it stay where you put it. It's gonna be nice. Hopefully you get your steering good and working. And this is the end of this video. See y'all.